In terms of BIM and implementing BIM successfully, collaboration is obviously the key thing to make sure everybody is collaborating effectively, but also communication. It doesn't, software, as we mentioned before, software doesn't replace people. And people are a huge part of the process. Training, understanding the standards, talking to each other. We do still pick up the phone on BIM projects and talk to each other, chat things through. The software is great, but it won't solve all of the problems that come up. You still need to talk to people and communicate very well. Information management is fundamentally what it's all about. It's managing how that information goes in. What information do you need at the start? How do you create that and exchange that? And then how do you produce that at the end of the project in a useful way? All of that is kind of critical to it. And Philip hit the nail on the head earlier on when you said the I in BIM is the most important part. It's that information aspect and making sure that it's useful. As I've touched on a couple of times, the process is designed to think about the whole life of a building, not just the design and construction phase. So it's always worth having that in your head, that actually there are tools, and one of the things that I'll share, which is part of the Scottish Futures Trust toolkit, is a whole life cost calculator that basically will take a design and then forecast how much it's likely to cost over the life of that building. And then an improved maintenance process as well, by better understanding what's gone into the building and having a soft landings approach where the people who maintain the building are involved and informed and inform the design at an early stage. From a lead consultant contractor point of view, make sure that your consultant appointments align. Make sure that anybody who's working as part of your team underneath you is going to deliver what you need, and equally make sure that there's no gaps and that they're not going to turn around at any point and say, oh, we're not going to produce that information for you. You need to do that yourselves. It's a really tricky thing. The legal side of BIM in the UK has been a hot topic for at least 5 years since we've been developing public projects in BIM. There have been a few reports and some really good advice. The UK BIM framework website that I touched on earlier on, again, has some great legal advice about writing contracts and making sure that you kind of cover yourself from a legal point of view. Be clear on your own roles for the project. Be clear on what you are expected to do. Within the standard, there are a number of responsibilities that it identifies that need to be allocated to people. So again, make sure that you understand the ones that you're taking on and take obviously any training that you need. And then the last thing, make sure the information is checked. We've all been guilty, I think, of pushing things out quickly to meet a deadline. It's a risk, but it's a risk that needs to be really carefully managed when you're sharing information in this collaborative environment. Anything that goes out needs to be thoroughly checked because other people will be looking at it. It's not going to sit on a shelf somewhere. You need to make sure that that is correct, accurate, and up to date. Really the last slide for me then, and I'm hoping Kirsty will jump on soon because I think she's looking to get some feedback from you after this. Some further reading and further resources, I say this presentation I'll include with the report that we send on, but these are some of the websites that we've referred to throughout where we've found some of the example documents and templates. There are also some really useful websites here for different guidance and advice. So obviously there's the Construction Scotland Innovation Centre website where some of the training materials and resources that we've developed are hosted. UK BIM Alliance and the UK BIM Framework are almost two arms of the same organisation. So the UK BIM Alliance are more focused on upskilling, training organisations, getting more organisations to adopt BIM. So they've got some good resource and materials around about some of the things we've talked about. How do you convince people to go for it? Good case study examples of where it's worked well in the past. The NBS toolkit we've mentioned on the way through. Building Smart in the UK are an organisation who look after the IFC file format. So they basically make sure that it's kept up to date. as all the software packages advance, make sure that it's still in sync with them all. So they basically oversee that. They've also got a really great BIM dictionary, which starts to explain some of the terms and terminology that kind of occur in BIM that sounds really alien when you first hear it. The b1m.com is kind of like YouTube for construction. So there's loads of videos on there about BIM. There's some good training ones and things that explain BIM, but equally there are some really cool videos about latest digital technologies and scanning and robotics and high-rise construction things. So it's a really great place to spend. If you're bored over lunch, that's usually one of the good websites to poke around at and see what things people are up to. The last one that I've put on here, the Syria BIM Cube, is a nifty little interactive, it looks like a cube when you go onto the website, but what it does is it lets you choose for different roles what some of the different responsibilities are and some of the things to think about. So again, it's something that you can look at in your own time, but it'll cover a lot of what we've talked about today for either consultants or contractors or the client in some cases, and the supply chain as well. So it's good, and it points to different resources and things that are available online. So again, that's a useful resource, hopefully.